Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. Good morning to you. I am Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me this morning or later today. Today, I want to share with you any updates that I've not already shared with you because I haven't done this in a couple of days and I want to make sure that we stay on top of this crazy case. So let's go ahead and dive into it, why don't we? We have a few little updates for you. What is up with another stalker being told around here? And we really don't know. We already heard about one stalker of Kaylee's that we found out was not so accurate. But then now a vape store owner is saying that she had a stalker. That is now, before I even dive into what we're learning, we have to always remember we got to take some of this with a grain of salt. We don't know what a person's motive is to be in front of the video, to be on camera. Was she a vapor? We don't know that. Why would she be in a vaping store? We know that allegedly they like to hang around in groups because of a stalker. That's what we're hearing. We have to understand that none of this is coming directly from the victim's mouth to us. So in some cases, this is kind of hearsay because it's through third parties. So we always have to be careful what information we're getting that we're running with, which is also could be what's causing some of this delay in this case, right? There's no named suspects, no murder weapon has been found. They're combing through thousands of tips. They're going through 22,000 cars to match this Hyundai and look for anyone who is associated with this Hyundai seen in video footage. But now we find out that maybe Kaylee did have a stalker. Because remember, there was another report of a stalker with a couple guys who were checking out females and trying to hit on them outside of a store. And that was it. Nothing of it. But then we come to find out that 3 weeks before this murder, there was a stalker. Again, take it all with a grain of salt. This is what is being reported out there. So this is what I want to share with you. Now, I'm not just running from some crazy online boards and running with what internet sleuthies are sharing. Okay? I'm better than that part because we know they will throw anything under the bus to try to get. From my understanding, the victims' families are having death threats. How does that happen? I don't understand people sometimes. Maybe in their mind they think they're doing the right thing. I don't know. But if you're trying to solve this and then you try to solve it with death threats, that doesn't make any lick of sense. So again, with a grain of salt. And so let's go ahead and share what it is that we know about this stalker thing. So Kaylee Goncalves had tons of issues with a stalker before she was murdered, along with 3 other University of Idaho students, according to a local shop manager. As we know, Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death in the early hours of November 13th at a shared student house in Moscow, Idaho. Now, 2 other female students living in the house slept through the attack and were unharmed. More than a month later, police have yet to identify a suspect or recover a murder weapon. Brian Enton, a senior national correspondent for the network News Nation, spoke to the manager of a Moscow vape store who said Goncalves and Mogen used to come in as part of a group and discussed Goncalves having a stalker. He said they always came in as a group. I'd say 4 or 5 girls at most all the time would come in together. I made a joke about it coming together and stuff like that. Nice seeing you girls, trying to stay safe. One of them more or less openly says, we've had a friend of ours be stalked before, so this is kind of why we all travel in a group like this. Now, asked by Enton whether Goncalves made the remark, he replied, no, it was Maddie, which is Madison Mogen, who actually said that. Now, I will share, if he refers to her as Maddie, that would make me think she's a regular at this vape shop. Like, Maddie generally is someone you know very well. They introduce themselves as Maddie, or, normally maybe first name at school would be Madison, something like that. He said, Maddie said it and motioned to Kaylee, who was right next to her. You could tell they all were trying to keep Kaylee safe and be there for her as good friends. He continued, they more or less made the comment that it always seemed to happen either by the campus or down on Main Street. Now, Kaylee more or less made it sound like it seemed like it was down on Main Street and that the person was coming from around the Corner Club area. Now, the Corner Club area is also where the girls, Kaylee and Madison, were hanging out the night of their death. So there is a little connection, but again, this is a college town, right? I could remember when I was in college going to a regular place on a regular, I wouldn't say I was so much a regular, but our fraternity, I was in a fraternity as well. Our fraternity brothers would go down to like maybe, hey, today we're going here, next, tomorrow we're going there, whatever. So going to the Corner Club on a regular basis for college students, not out of the ordinary. But the Corner Club was associated with this death as when it comes to their timeline, the date of their death. He said this was apparently something Kaylee had tons of issues with. Apparently, she always had someone who was walking behind her like that. And it was more so at nighttime when they were out there drinking, stuff like that. I asked them, like, is it at school? And she's like, no, at night going out to the bars or coming back from the bars. Which also still leaves me thinking about that food truck video where they arrived at the food truck and then all of a sudden another guy arrives at the food truck. I don't know 100% what his name is. Some people have put his name out there. I've had a video on the name that has been said, but the cops never named that guy at the grub truck. So, but the internet sleuthies allegedly found out his name. So I find that interesting with this quote of the girls, where the vape store owner says that, coming from the bars, going from the bars, and yet when they arrive at this food truck, someone arrives with them at the same time and leaves at the same time. Now again, cops said that they wrote off the guy at the grub truck, but there was a few guys at the grub truck, so I'm not even too sure. But this guy, he did something to me that I thought was strange. I did not see him order food. I saw him wait there. He arrives there around the same time with them. Almost looked like he arrives there with them, hanging off to the back. And for a second, his hat's on backwards, his hoodie's off. Then he changes it, puts his hat around with the bill up front, and then puts his hoodie on. So to me, that looked a little suspect. That looked a little suspicious to me. But again, they wrote off the guy at the food truck. So I'm not trying to overpower what the police are saying here either. Now, the vape store manager described Goncalves and Mogen as very friendly and happy-go-lucky. Moscow Police Captain Roger Lanier, he told reporters on November 23rd that we obtained information through some of our interviews that Kaylee had made some comments about a stalker. And then on December 5th, Moscow police said there had been an incident involving Kaylee and two males, but they do not have any evidence connecting these males with the murders. Using tips and leads, investigators have identified an incident involving Kaylee at a local business, which may have been the stalker reference she made to friends and families. That's what the Moscow Police Department said in a statement. In mid-October, two males were seen inside a local business. They parted ways, and one male appeared to follow Kaylee inside the business And as she exited to walk toward her car, the male turned away and it did not appear he made any contact with her. Detectives contacted both males and learned the two were attempting to meet women at the business. This was corroborated through additional investigation. So this led them to believe that they were not involved with this heinous crime. You can see the 4 victims along with the 2 surviving victims in the house. And, now we find out that there was also a white car linked to the murders. Now, I shared with you about the Exxon Mobil video, but now a landlord is sharing surveillance footage from his property, which is near to where the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students took place. It was obtained by police and showed a white car traveling around the time of the incident. Now, this is according to the owner, Kane Francetich or Francetich, something like that. He lives about 0.3 miles, very close to the crime scene. Literally a hop, skip, and a jump. Not far at all. Maybe 2 to 3 blocks away. Not exaggerating. So he lived very close to the murder scene in Moscow, Idaho. And he said that detectives had reached out to him on November 14th, a day after the 4 students were brutally murdered in their beds. Since last week, police have asked for the public's help in tracking down the occupant or occupants of a white Hyundai Elantra in connection to the case. And so this was spotted in near there. So here we have the surveillance footage. Now, we've never heard about this surveillance footage. Okay, this is the first time we are hearing about this surveillance footage. And so allegedly the cops had already reached out to him on November 14th, but we hadn't heard about this. This is more of why the police have to protect their case. But now we do. It seems like little by little, we do get little pieces of information, just not all at once. And so since the police have asked for help, for the public's help in tracking down this white Hyundai Elantra, here we have the surveillance footage that was placed on top of his 6-unit rental building on Linda Lane, showing a white car speeding past. Only a side view of the car, though. That was all that was captured in this footage. It remains unclear if the car was the same one that the police have linked to the murders, which they have described as a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Now, more than a month after this unsolved crime, no arrests have been made, and so they're doing everything they can. And they say that this white car the occupants may have some critical information. They're pretty sure they have some critical information. And so Mr. Francetich, he said, I downloaded it and gave them access to everything from 2 a.m. through noon on that Sunday, the 13th. He said that detectives told him they would run their special analysis tools on the footage to find the clues and describe the car, which zoomed west on Taylor Road between 2:14 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. on November 13 as both white and light colored. Now, Mr. Francetich's rental building and its cameras sit on a hill facing Taylor Road. Remember, Taylor Road is another piece of footage, anything around this area that they've asked for video surveillance. And this is the main street that connects 1122 King Road to Highway 95, which is the route the killer may have taken upon fleeing. Now, the property owner, he said that he noticed a white sedan traveling west towards 1122 King Road around 1:45 a.m. and returned to the highway a few minutes later, suspecting that the involvement of a third-party driver who dropped 2 victims before the murders. Moscow police said in a press release on Thursday that investigators are sorting through 22,000 registered Hyundai Elantras from 2011-2013 that fit into the search criteria of the car seen near 1122 King Road the night of the killings. Police have recovered other footage from a gas station, which I shared with you as the Exxon gas station, and it showed a white sedan driving along Highway 8 at 3:45 a.m. So my friends, it looks like they're on to something here with this white sedan. The employee of the gas station, she asked, I think it's a she asked to remain anonymous for safety reasons, said the sedan drove past real quick before turning off the highway down a side street. Maddie and Kaylee, these were two friends that were like best friends, but even more, they were like sisters. And so now that we have this gas station footage, we have this video from the landlord. Now, Idaho cops, they ask gas stations 24 miles away from murders for any video footage that they may have. And so Idaho cops, they have traveled at least 24 miles out of Moscow to collect surveillance footage in nearby towns after a white Hyundai was spotted near the scene of the vicious killings of the 4 college students. And so now they're asking for anyone. So investigators, they have traveled to Troy, about 12 miles east of Moscow, where surveillance footage revealed a 4-door white sedan drive at about 3:45 on the morning of the killings. And so now they're asking for any surveillance. Meanwhile, the manager of the Food City store in Kendrick, about 24 miles east, told Fox News cops also asked for surveillance footage from their property. Now, Idaho State Police, they requested video ranging from November 12th to November 14th as they combed through footage from dozens of businesses, including liquor stores, coffee shops, gyms, gas stations within the town of Moscow and beyond. And so that's where it's like, hey, what's going on with this white car? Police have not indicated how far they have traveled to find a vicious killer, but told Fox News that tips can come from anywhere in the country. On Thursday, just 2 days ago, cops said they were confident that a white Hyundai Elantra was spotted near the scene. And so that's why they're combing through 22,000 tips or 22,000 cars. Captain Lanier, he stressed the cops still need help from the public, saying that 22,000 may not be all of the white Elantras in the area. They told Fox News that the drive and possible occupants have yet to come forward. We don't know who owns the car. We need information from anybody that might connect us with who was in that car that night. That information was shared by Moscow Police Public Information Officer Robbie Johnson. And she said that could be anything ranging from somebody who happened to be there to whatever you might imagine. Police have said that the license plate of the vehicle is still unknown and could have been removed. It's not just one thing that we are looking into about the white car. It's many, many different things. And just taking that further until we get the answers we need or find it is not taking us anywhere. That's what Robbie Johnson had shared about that. That's why they're looking for anything. And so the families of the murdered students are struggling to come to grips with this devastating loss. They've even pleaded with police to provide more information. Kaylee Goncalves, she's at distraught. This is Stephen Goncalves with Kaylee. And he has shared. But Kaylee Goncalves, the mom, she shared that it's sleepless nights. It's feeling sick to your stomach. It's just being left in the dark. She feels like she's in the dark about this whole thing. Goncalves recounted the days that she learned something had happened to her daughter. She said, We are running around for hours just not knowing what was going on, what happened. We found out by people calling us, and the sheriff showed up about 3 hours later. She is upset, and I don't blame her one bit. Shannon Gray, an attorney for Goncalves, she met with the Moscow Police Department earlier this week and said investigators have done a poor job communicating with the families. That's what I mean. They're all upset about this. And so Shannon Gray says families should never find out information from a news release or an interview. They should find that information ahead of time. Goncalves described learning about the police interest in this white Hyundai sedan seen in the area around the time of the murders, not from investigators, but from reading about it in news release sent to her by someone else. That's why everyone's so frustrated with this case, because they feel like the police have not been forthcoming about everything they have come across. And that's why they're pretty upset about this whole thing. They want answers. I don't blame them. And so now the Idaho police, they're asking for anything, right? So Kaylee Goncalves, she said, my first thought just started being like, how long have they had this information? Where do they get this information? Was it on camera? That's what Christy was sharing about the Moscow police and them having this white car information. How long has the police been sitting on this? The Moscow Police Department disputed Goncalves' characterization, telling CNN that they had reached out to her attorney via email the same day they made their request to the general public seeking information regarding the white sedan. Authorities, they're sorting through tens of thousands of registered vehicles that fit the criteria of one spotted near the residence the night of the attack. The Moscow Police Department said in a news release on Thursday. So that's what I mean. Kaylee Goncalves, she's upset. She's like, what's up with this car that no one has told us about, right? You know, you had all these people, you had these what people believe are Texas Rangers or from Washington State coming in. No one's giving them information. No one's sharing what these guys are about. These families are upset and they want information. Here is the white sedan that the police are looking for. And, you know, Kaylee Goncalves, she said every time we turn around, there's a new, I don't know if they're new or they're old. I'm just coming across them. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how many of these did she do? Goncalves said. The killings of Goncalves, Mogen, Kernodle, and Ethan, which is who is Kernodle's boyfriend, who was just spending the night there, Chapin, in the early morning hours of November 13th, this have shook the whole small college town of Moscow, Idaho, which had not recorded a murder since 2015. No suspects have been detained yet. This is a case that police promise is not cold, which means they're still combing through tips and leads and anything along those lines. Now, some are now pointing to new footage from a police stop that occurred near the student's King Street home. An officer's body cam captured the moment plainclothes officers made an unrelated stop in the area for 3 students suspected of underage drinking. In the background of the video, several people can be seen moving quickly past police on Taylor Avenue. You guys saw that. I shared that a couple days ago, and this is just 2 houses down from the scene of the crime. It occurred just minutes before police said the students were killed. If it was minutes before, were they going in the direction of it or from it? And so they definitely need to check into this. I agree wholeheartedly. But until we know more about that, we won't know more about that. But they are combing through 22,000 registered white Hyundai Elantras, and they're combing through this video footage. But now we hear that there may have been a scream on that. Again, take it with a grain of salt, my friends. But they say that there was internet sleuthies. They say that they heard this. And then so the media started reporting about a scream that might have been captured by Moscow police officer. And so there was a high-pitched sound that was recorded at 3:12 a.m. on November 13th. And it was captured by a Moscow police officer who was responding to an unrelated incident near the University of Idaho where the students were, where the victims were students, right? And so some believe that that sound, which is high pitched, though barely audible even with the volume turned up loud, is a distant scream, while others think it may be the sound of a car tire peeling away. Considering that this was very close to the time of the murders, yeah, this definitely needs to be searched into. The noise appears to have been made around the same time that the students were killed. And so authorities are hoping that it may help them in determining what happened. You see? So now that they still have no evidence of a sex crime, right? And some of the bodies show wounds suggesting they tried to fight off the attacker, because Kathy Mabu, the coroner, she did say that she did confirm that one of the victims did have defensive wounds. And it looks like to be Xana Kernodle, who has at least been confirmed. I find that interesting because it's also been said that Ethan Chapin was found he's the one that was found on the floor in front of a door. Like maybe he heard the girl screaming, came out, then the killer attacked him. That's just a theory, my friends. Don't hold me to it. Just a theory. But she then had defensive wounds, meaning that maybe she heard something. Ethan, being the man, went to check out what's going on. Then he's confronted with the killer. Then he's killed. And so he's in the hallway, because it has definitely been said by multiple people that he was found in the hallway. But again, police have not said that. So let me be very, very clear on that. I don't think they have. Let me know in the comments if they did and I missed it or something. But then Xana had the defensive wounds, which means that she most likely was not asleep when she was stabbed to death. I'm just putting two to two together here, my friends. And so, police have no evidence of a sex crime. So it's like they went in there, did what they went in there to do, and it wasn't to do anything with the females. My question is, was the killer already in the home when this happened, or what? And so there is some newly released video footage from this police stop that occurred near the student's King Street home that had been earlier brought to the fore by internet sleuths. This is where the internet sleuths do play a good role some cases, and some cases not so much. But in the background of the video, aside from the scream, several people can also be seen moving quickly past police on Taylor Avenue. So of course they're going to be looking into that a little more. And that's where it's like, okay. Now, the coroner in the Idaho murders told Kaylee Goncalves' teen sister some horrifying details about her death. That's according to Christy Goncalves sharing this information. And so the coroner, Kathy Mabu, who's in charge of the University of Idaho students' murder case, has come under fire for allegedly relaying horror victims about the killings to victim Kaylee Goncalves' teenage sister. Kaylee's mother, Christy Goncalves, shared her anguish over the case in an interview with the Today Show on Thursday, more than a month after her daughter was stabbed to death alongside her friends. Now, Ms. Goncalves revealed that some of the most gruesome details the family knows about the case came from a conversation between her younger daughter, who is 17, and Latah County Coroner Kathy Mabu. And Kathy Mabu is also she's also a defense attorney, I believe, in the town. So I didn't know you could play two roles, but she is said to have been playing two roles as well, because she's defending someone else who was recently in trouble very nearby. And so Kathy Mabu, pictured here, she allegedly shared some stuff with this teenager. And so earlier this week, Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves, he described how the coroner had told the family that the victims suffered big open gouges. Miss Mabu had given that description to Kaylee's little sister over the phone. Now, Miss Mabu asked her, "Are you sure you want to know this?" And my daughter, thinking that she did for whatever reason, said, "Yes." Miss Goncalves said, and she proceeded to tell her. Describing the conversation with Miss Mabu to Fox News earlier this week, Mr. Goncalves said the coroner told the family, "I don't think stabs is the right word. It was like tears. Like this was a strong weapon, not like a stab." She said it was quick. These weren't something where you were going to be able to call 911. They were not going to slowly bleed out. Mr. Goncalves told Fox that Miss Mabu embellished a bunch of stuff, like her own hypothesis of what happened in her theory of things. Miss Mabu's media appearances revealing sensitive information in stark contrast to Moscow Police Department's pleas for the public to understand that specifics about the investigation are being withheld to protect its integrity have been at the center of criticism. And, in the early stages of the investigation, Miss Mabu, she called the murders personal and revealed that the victims were found in their beds and were likely sleeping when they were attacked. Now, if they were all found in their bed, then how could Ethan ever been on the floor? So, again, police are not sharing everything. Hopefully someday we'll know it all. I'm sure there's going to be a Netflix series, a Oxygen series. There's going to be something, right? This is one of the most national attention grabbing headlines probably since Gabby Petito. It was not only surprising but aggravating, Joseph Giacoloni said. He's a 20-year police veteran and professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice who told Fox News weeks ago, "It is not her place to investigate this thing on TV and speculate." So, people just want answers. People just want answers. I don't have answers. You most likely don't have answers. People just want answers. My friends, we all want answers, and we just need the media to share what they're finding the right way. We need these internet sleuths to do it the right. I love that they're digging deep. I love it. I love that they're digging deep. They're able to find people like, the YouTuber who faked a video. The same YouTuber who said that they were bound and gagged. He's spreading lies. Hopefully he's having a come to Jesus moment and not spreading lies. It's one thing to maybe share misinformation that you receive. It's another to blatantly edit audio, find audio from a different domestic violence case, and then act like this is the scream that someone heard as a neighbor, that the neighbor heard. This is what I mean. It's one thing to maybe come across information and you kind of misshare it. It's another to blatantly lie. My friends, that's exactly why I do this, so that you can stay aware of what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. I'm Manny Rodriguez, and I look forward to serving you again and being a voice for the victims. Rest in peace to these 4 victims. My friends, if you are a person of prayer, please pray that we get some justice for these individuals soon. This cannot turn into a cold case. And the fact that they are really looking hard for this white car tells me that they may have some critical information. The cops say they have some critical information. I think that the cops cannot name them as we believe they have something to do with it. But how is there not more blood around? There's gotta be something. I'm not at the crime scene. People were not at the crime scene. Someone knows something. This is hard to pull off. Unless they sent in some professionals. I just don't know how. I don't know how anyone can pull this off. This will not, even if it goes cold, this will someday be solved. There's no doubt in my mind. I remember the Ohio where the Wagners, who were recently convicted, and another Wagner convicted. When that story first broke, I was like, wow. And then, the perpetrators, one of the moms said that she thought it was the cartel because they were dealing with drugs or something like that. That made me think, well, that may never get solved. But it wasn't the cartel. It was actually former family members that through a relationship. But at first I was like, oh my gosh, how could something like that happen? This case is starting to remind me of that when that first happened. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're never going to find that. But they did. It takes time. It takes time. And a lot of this is building up the right case so that they're not, having the wrong suspects or sending the wrong people to jail. They need to have a tight case. A tight case. My friends, I believe we are going to get some justice for these kids. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Deep True Crime. If this is the type of content you like to follow, please hit that subscribe button. I'm Manny Rodriguez. I look forward to serving you and being a voice for the victims again. Have a great day. Be safe out there. Peace.